Today, competitive Halo fans got some pretty cool news as HCS has announced the 9 partnered teams that they're going to be working with for the launch of Halo Infinite. So even though we don't talk about Halo Esports or Esports much on the channel, I think it's time we start. So before we get into the 9 different teams and I kind of give you the high level overview on where they come from and who their rosters are going into Infinite if they've announced one, there are just a few things that I want to talk about before we get to that. So the first thing is that this is obviously pretty cool news. Having these big organizations come into Halo Infinite shows that there is at least some confidence in the HCS and Halo Esports as a whole. However, I do want to note that just having these big orgs at launch doesn't guarantee success for Halo Infinite or guarantee success for the esports side of Halo either. A lot of that is still going to lie on what happens post-launch with Halo Infinite, and currently that's just not something that we can judge. For example, this isn't the first time that big esports orgs have kind of dabbled into Halo, with most recently being the launch of Halo 5. If you look at the Halo 5 2016 World Championship, there was organizations like CLG, Denial, even though that's a pretty sketch org, Evil Geniuses, Team Liquid, Cloud9, and even Renegades, along with all the other ones you see on screen. One thing to note too with 2016 is Optic had a Halo team at the time, they just didn't qualify for the World Championship. Going into 2017, you see big orgs like Optic, Team Liquid, Envy, Luminosity, and Splice, along with many others. And even going into the last Halo 5 World Championship in 2008, there was still some decent brands sticking around like Splice, Envy, although this is kind of cheating because they literally just picked up a team for the event. Renegades is still sticking around, but you can see by 2008, a lot of the bigger brands had started to make their way out of Halo Esports. One big thing that I do want to note is that this time around, there actually seems to be big esport organization support not only on the North American side, which Halo has had before, but also on the European side, which could be really huge if Halo Esports was able to really take off in Europe in a way that it hasn't before. I don't point this out to be a Demi-Downer or anything like that. I just wanted you guys to be aware that just because these orgs have signed on to Halo Esports doesn't necessarily mean Halo Infinite Esports is going to be amazing. However, if 343 is able to do a good job, having all these big orgs and all the support right at launch will definitely elevate the scene to the next level. So other than that, the way that this is going to work is that these are the partner teams at launch. These teams have invested into the Halo ecosystem, and therefore there's going to be a lot of systems put into place by 343 to help these organizations out. We're going to be getting multiple in-game content bundles, and these organizations will be able to receive a significant share of the revenue from those sales, similar to how we had those HCS skins in Halo 5, although those came a lot later than they probably should have. These partner teams are also going to have additional opportunities to film content at events, and basically 343 is just going to try and provide as many possible opportunities to help these partner teams out where they can. However, one important thing to note is there are no competitive advantages. You won't get HCS points, you won't get advanced placement, and there will be no auto qualification for these teams. So even though these organizations are the partnered organizations, if their teams fail and don't qualify for the pro brackets or anything like that, then that's just what it is. The system will be a totally open ecosystem. 343 is also looking to add more teams after launch. They just wanted to be able to scale accordingly and not add too many teams all at once and not be able to provide the proper support that they want to. Currently, and I'll point these out as we go through the different organizations, but the partner teams are all NA and EU orgs, but they do want to help out other regions around the world as time goes on and as those scenes are able to build up. Places like Australia, New Zealand, Latin America come to mind, but who knows, with Halo being on PC and free to play, it could really make a splash in a lot of regions that it never has before. One that comes to mind to me is the Brazilian region because they have a lot of roots in FPS with things like Counter-Strike and Valorant. So maybe with this being a free-to-play FPS game, we could see some Brazilian teams make a splash years down the line in the HCS. Anyways, that's basically all the background information and everything I wanted to go over. So now we can go over the different organizations, where they've come from, if they've been in Halo before, and all the goodies. So the first one is Cloud9, a very big organization in North America, and one that has a very wide net across esports, dabbling and competing in a lot of different esports. Cloud9 has had a Halo team in the past, they picked up a team during Halo 2 Anniversary, and they continued to have a team through early Halo 5 until they left in roughly 2016. Their roster going into Halo Infinite is going to be Penguin, Eco, Stellar, and Renegade. The next organization is E United, This organization I'm pretty sure had its roots in Call of Duty, and their roster coming into Halo Infinite is Rain, Rynoob, Spartan, and King Nick. Next up, we have FaZe Clan. This is a huge brand in both the YouTuber influencer space and also esports. They have teams in a lot of different games and originally started as a Call of Duty sniping team. They've never had a competitive Halo roster, but they did have FaZe Campy before he disappeared. They currently do not have a roster announced. The next organization is Fnatic, which is going to be a European-based org. This is a huge esports brand across basically every game ever. They have a ton of prestige, a ton of titles, and a ton of success. They've been around since 2004, and they did actually have a team in Halo 3, Reach, and Halo 4. My guess is they're probably going to pick up a European roster, but they did have NA teams in the past, and they currently don't have a roster announced. G2 Esports is the next organization. This one is kind of a newer esports org, but they are absolutely killing it across many games. They started in League of Legends with the mid laner Ocelot, if you know who that is, and they're going to be totally new to Halo, and this one excites me because G2 does some really cool stuff with content and social media. Next up is the brand Na'Vi. This one was founded in 2009, and they are another big brand across many games. They are based out of Ukraine, and they are probably the biggest and most popular esports brand in the CIS region. If you guys know who Simple is from CSGO, that's who he plays for today, and having an organization like Na'Vi could bring a lot of cool new opportunities if we see a team from the CIS team start to get a lot of success in Halo Infinite. They currently do not have a roster announced. Next up is Sentinels. They were formed in 2016 as the League of Legends team Phoenix 1, and then they rebranded in June 2018 to Sentinels. They have teams across many games. Semi-recently, they won the Valorant Iceland LAN, and they have seen success across other games also. They've been in Halo now for nearly 2 years, and their roster consists of the much-known Snakebite, Royal 2, Frosty, and Lethal. Next up is an org that I honestly don't know a whole ton about, and that is Space Station Gaming. They were founded in 2017, and according to Wikipedia, they are currently the world champions in Rainbow Six Siege. They will be new to Halo and currently do not have a roster announced. And last but not least, we have Team Envy, which is another longtime esports org that made their start in Call of Duty. They did previously have a Halo team in Halo 5, and their roster going into Halo Infinite is going to be Pistola, Trippy, APG, and Lucid. And that pretty much wraps it up for the new organizations coming into the launch of Halo Infinite for the HCS. I'm really excited to see where Halo Esports goes in Halo Infinite, and I really do hope to see Halo Esports kind of get the recognition and the viewership that it deserves and hasn't really been getting in recent years. Obviously, if you've been around for a long time, during Halo 2 and Halo 3, Halo Esports was almost revolutionary when it came to the console esports, but ever since then, going from Halo Reach into Halo 4, and even into Halo 5, the esports scene around Halo just hasn't been the same. Halo 5 was a lot better than Halo Reach and Halo 4 because we had support from 343, but even though there was more money in Halo 5, it never kind of lived up to the heights of Halo Esports back in the day. I hope that they're able to do that with Halo Infinite, and I'm really excited to see what Toshi and 343 do with Halo Infinite. Anyways guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know we don't talk about esports a lot, and I tried to keep it pretty high level, but I thought this announcement was pretty cool and I wanted to talk about it. As always, if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Other than that, make sure you follow me over on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all the cool places, and I'll see you all next time.